Well, welcome to the Mac Outdoors podcast, Marty. Thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to see you and share you with my audience. For the listeners, we visited, and I think it's the first time we met was at Gun Sight. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
I was
think
trying to
so.
think with all the events and stuff like that. I don't remember meeting you at SHOT Show, or hadn't seen you anywhere. So I was excited to meet you and see where the Armed Women of America are going. And I'm excited to
Sure.
have you here today. But for my audience, would you give a little introduction about yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I'm the National Program Director for Armed Women of America. And of course, a mom as well and wife. So, a great deal, it all kind of goes hand in hand. All of that as we look at the Armed Women of America and who these ladies are that are really focused on wanting to be their own self-protectors. So that's what all started it for me, was when being a young mom and having a very scary situation happen to me where I had to make a quick reaction decision to if I was going to run or potentially take somebody back to my apartment where my son was. And so it all started this big journey that has went from being a chapter leader to now the national program director, which I'm very blessed to have been serving for 10 years with the organization.
Yeah, I didn't know you had been with them that long. You may have told us that in Arizona, but I've slept a few times since then.
And it was a busy week. It was a
Yeah.
great and busy week. So
Yeah, it was super fun. And so are you based in Arizona, or where are you based out of?
I'm in Arizona.
You are in Arizona. So do you do a lot of work with Gunsight?
We do as the organization. So in fact, just this past weekend, we did our big Arizona State shoot at Gunsight. So we had almost 90 women there at Gunsight training together as well. So they have a chapter, one of our chapters, it's located there as well. So we're really great to have a partnership with them. They're one of our sponsors as well. So our conferences and everything, they are always really supportive of us.
Very cool. Yeah. So you obviously had been there before. I know a few of the ladies there were pretty excited because they had never been. And when you went to Gunsight for the very first time, what was your experience there? What did you think of it?
Well, actually, so I have been there and watched trainings and things like that, but that was my actual first time to actually train there. So it was while we were there. So yeah, so it was very exciting for me to actually be able to go from where I'm typically an instructor to be that student on the range under Illingnew and, work with that. So it's always a good piece to keep learning and training, right? So it was pretty special for me.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And when you were training there, and for the listeners, we were at the Girls with Guns Rendezvous. We've had a couple other interviews in a series that I've done because there were so many amazing women there that I've tried to get several of you on to share the stories. But that Girls with Guns Rendezvous, we had obviously the Armed Women of America. Were you part of a sponsorship of the event?
So we were a partner. So we're involved in that. Girls with Guns has been a sponsor of our organization for I think 7 years now. So we worked very closely with them. And they went to the first conference we had in Jacksonville, Florida, and were there for the first time. And they've been at every conference since. So we've really just built the relationship from there and a really great friendship with them as well.
They're amazing women. When you were at that event and you got to be a recipient of training, what were some of the key things that you took away, or like what impacted you the most out of everything we did?
I think the combination of being able to use those products, I think it says a great deal for Girls with Guns and Ruger and all of those that supplied their products for us, to be able to put that in the hands and be willing to say, what do you think? And really take a good look at and listen to us about what we think of their products and things like that. And then you go into the training side of it and you get actual training with those so that you can go back to your communities, or, for me as an instructor, I can go back and say, hey, I've used this product. I know about it. And to be able to speak to those companies and say, hey, they take us seriously and they want to know our feedback. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, that was super important. It's pretty neat, as you said, to be able to be hands-on with everything and also to get proper training with how to, draw from a pocket or, draw from an appendix or something
Yes.
like that. I thought that was priceless. It was super cool. And you also
Mhm.
brought your daughter with you. Was she an observer or did she get to do any of the training?
So she sat in with us for all the classes and got to watch. So she didn't actually shoot, but she did watch, which is a big deal, you know. So
Mhm.
she observed, she got to see the importance of training. She got to experience some of that, you know, drawing from the holster, drawing from concealment and things. She just turned 16 last week, you know, so I really look at that as she's our future. And the earlier that we can get her started, the better. So it was great. And then it turned around. I mentioned the Arizona State shoot we had last week. She did go back and she shot at gunsight last week.
So
So
cool.
a big, yeah. So it was really neat to see that, but it's important. That's a really important piece for her to be able to be there. I think getting the younger generations involved earlier is really important.
Yeah. And what's really cool at Gunsight is the world-class trainers. And actually, my daughter went to Gunsight before I ever did. And I think she was 16 also. She got her certificate and everything. But she went to Gunsight's youth class. And so she was
Mhm.
with 6 or 7 other kids her age. And they all received training. And at first, it was a little overwhelming for her because she had just done basic and the intensity that you go through in those classes. At first it was intimidating and then she kind of just fell right in her groove, and it's something that she just remembers constantly. And it's kind of funny because even as women, when you show up at the range, sometimes men are looking at you like, oh, little lady, you might need some help. And it's kind of cool to just see that she actually has more training than them, and she very politely will explain to them that they're telling her wrong, or explain to them that she doesn't need their help necessarily. She takes it when she does need it, but oftentimes she doesn't need all of that. And so when
Yeah.
you guys with the Armed Women of America, when you guys are doing training, you have chapters around the country, or how does that work now?
Yeah. So we've got chapters all across the country in about 47 states, and they all meet once a month. And typically what they do is an hour of instruction in the classroom and an hour on the range with our instructors. All of our instructors have gone through what we call our instructional standards and development program to make sure that they meet a standard, you know, for safety and teaching the fundamentals and everything so that we can guarantee that for them. And it's just a really great place of comfort and fellowship as well, you know, in your training. So, and to have that, we have a lot of ladies that come from a place of being survivors, or they don't ever want to deal with an attack or anything like that. They have not refusing to be a victim, you know, so it's just a really great place for them to be able to speak, you know, there and with each other, and ladies that have the same mindset of wanting to learn and grow on their journey.
Yeah. And so with the chapters, are they specifically just doing gun training, or do they have handgun, rifle, shotgun? What all are they working
So
on?
it depends on the chapter. So many chapters do a little bit of everything, but there are some based off of their range and what their range's capabilities are. They will, you know, stick to handgun or whatever that is. So we try to do state events. A lot of our state leaders are doing state events where they can branch out as far as that goes. When we have our big national conferences, we'll bring people like Christy Titus out and do long range and different things like that as well. So it's really great. But then on the other side of it, we do a lot of mindset, situational awareness, even suicide prevention, human trafficking. I mean, everything that you can think of that really just goes
Wow.
into really being your own self-protector. So you have that full knowledge base, right? So you not only are you armed, but you're also armed with knowledge, you know, that really helps you stay protected.
Amazing. It's a resource that I think is invaluable. And you said you've been with them for about 10 years.
Mhm.
Did you start out as an instructor, or you wanted to learn that first, or were you a student and then evolved into an instructor?
So when it was announced that the organization was going to be started, I actually saw it posted on Facebook, and I was like, I think I'm going to do this, which is really kind of funny because I was very shy, and my husband was like, "You're going to do what?" And I'm like, "You know what? It's just so important. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and I'm going to do this." So I started there. I was not an instructor at the time, but I was like, I'm going to start this chapter. So that was in January of 2013. And by the time I in April, when my chapter launched, it was the same month I became an instructor. So, and it's just grown and grown and grown. So, it's been pretty great.
Pretty great. Do you have any partners that are helping you with it, or is it kind of just solely you're in charge and you call the shots?
So, as far at a local level, I have co-leaders that are helping me. It's a family thing for me. My mom and my sister-in-law are lead my current local chapter with me. I have another sister-in-law as well that started out with me, and now she has her own chapter. So that's on the local level. Of course, on the national level, there's 5 of us that are working together as far as staff goes, and then we have our board of directors as well.
Yeah, amazing. Are you growing all the time? I mean, the number of women gun owners is growing, so I would imagine that the chapters themselves are growing, but are the number of chapters growing too?
They are. So we are growing. So constantly. In fact, we opened just a few chapters in the last few weeks. So it's constantly growing and adding new leaders too. So there's the piece of adding chapters, but there's also adding new leaders to existing chapters that are growing the teams so that they have more support, because we have so many more women joining the chapters that they need more instructors on the ground to help them as well. So that's a big piece. In fact, we have a staff member that's pretty much our full-time position is working through that, because it takes a lot of time, and dedication and everything to work with those new chapter leaders that are coming on board.
Amazing. That in itself, you guys kind of develop a training structure, or how do you guys organize that?
So we have, for training, we work through an onboarding process, an interview process and everything else that works with that. We do have some leaders that are not instructors, so they help with a lot of the administrative, or maybe they're range safety officers and things like that. Currently, we, use USCCA or the NRA training that they will go through, and they'll submit those to us. For the instructors, I mentioned our instructional standards and development program. We have regional trainers that get with the new chapter leaders that are instructors and work with them through that program. They record some videos of themselves teaching and different things like that, so we can make sure that they meet those standards, and it's not a place of judgment or anything like that. It really is a supportive program that we put in place to help them grow, but also for us to be able to tell women everywhere that no matter what chapter they go to, they can rest assured that the standards are going to be the same. And also we can tell the industry, we really take the safety and teaching very seriously.
And so do you have to kind of periodically check in with the chapters, or is it kind of a one and done?
No, so we have state leaders in most of our states that check in with them for us, because it's a big job, because we're, almost 300 chapters. So
I was going to ask.
Yeah, so they are in communication with each chapter in their states at least monthly, to make sure that they are doing okay. And then of course myself and Annie, who's on staff here, work with them as well to if there's any needs that happen, anything like that. So we're big on making sure that the teams are always healthy. So whatever we need for them, whatever support they need, we're going to try to get that for them.
If I wanted to start a chapter, which I don't, there's one right here locally, but if I wanted to start a chapter, what are the steps to get going?
So there's on our website, there is actually a lead a chapter link. You go right on there, and there's a form you quickly fill out, and that goes to Annie, and then she reaches out and with all the steps and works through that, answers any questions that you may have about starting a chapter, anything like that. So that's the easiest way to do it.
The easiest way. And do you suggest, I mean, like I said, I know that there's a lady here that has a chapter. If I was going to start a chapter, should I look that up first and see if there's anything in my area and how to work with them before you just try to start a chapter?
Absolutely. So you reach out to them first. The other piece is one of our pieces of the onboarding is we always look at where chapters are at. So when a woman reaches out and says, I want to start a chapter, we look at our maps and see where our current chapters are at, because it's really important for us to make sure that a new chapter wouldn't be a negative impact on an existing chapter. So we want to look at that. And if we can pair you together to work together, maybe join that leadership team. But we also have instances where we have chapters that are sharing a range, multiple chapters that are at one range, but it just works out because it's a different day of the week. You know, so it gives a broader reach for the women in the community. So it just depends on the area. So we get our state leaders involved. We talk to the leaders that are close by and just make sure that it's all going to be very positive.
And the positive part is what I really like about the whole organization is everything is very forward looking and very supportive of all the women, whether you're experienced or not. It seems like everyone is very welcoming at any events that I've attended. You talked about the annual conference. What all does that entail? Is it training for the instructors or seminars or just hands-on range week, or how many days is it?
So the actual conference is actually going to be in Branson, Missouri this year, and it is August 11th through the 13th. So Friday through Sunday is the official conference. But we do have pre and post conference trainings as well that are add-ons to that piece. So a lot of it will be seminars. We have the convention center in Branson that is booked out. We will be there. Tons and tons of people. Lena Micklick will be there. Mike Seeklander, you know, Mia Strong from the Elizabeth Smart Foundation will be there, all doing training. So this year, what's a little bit different is typically in the past, it's been our chapter leaders only. Now we have opened it up to our full membership to be able to be there to dive into this training. But we also have a leader track for our leaders that it involves their stuff that's leadership side of it. So whether that's developing them as instructors or helping them run their chapter in different ways, building their teams, different things like that. So what's really cool this year is we have added a trade show onto it as well. So we have, in the past, our sponsors have been there with tables and things to be able to speak, but this time we really opened that up to a full trade show, which will be open to the general public as well.
Wow, that sounds like, to me, like right away, I'm just thinking that's a lot of work.
It is, but it's so worth it, because when we are there together and to be able to be face to face with the leaders that are and members that are on the ground, you know, especially those leaders they're making the difference. They are the backbone of the organization. So they're really, I like to say, the heartbeat of the, you know, so of what we do. So to be there with them and build each other up, that's really important, and be able to learn and grow together is pretty great.
Super great. And to be able to share stories and just that camaraderie, I think is priceless.
Yes.
For sure. With this conference and everything else, is the Armed Women of America, is it a nonprofit?
It is. It is. We're a 501c3. So originally, when we first started in 2013, we were a for-profit with the Well-Armed Women, but we have transitioned 2015, that transitioned so to a nonprofit, because we knew that that was a need that we had. So we've been since 2015 a nonprofit.
That's been a while. I didn't realize it. Time flies. Time flies when we're having fun. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yes.
And so with all of this stuff that's been going on and new gun owners, are you seeing the new gun owners really embracing the training, or I don't know if you've seen the numbers of new gun owners that are women. Is that correlating across to your new members that are getting training?
It is. We have a lot of new shooters. In fact, I think that's probably our bulk, you know, that we're seeing right now is all those new shooters that are just thirsty for knowledge, you know, and to make sure that they understand. So it's just really, really beautiful thing, because I think it's really neat to see a woman come in sometimes with a little bit of fear of the handgun that she's now decided to use, you know, to train with, and watch that growth pattern happen. So, I mean, even from some ladies that start out with us as brand new, they've never shot before, they were nervous, and now they've went through their whole journey and now they're instructors, you know, so that growth piece is pretty cool. It's pretty amazing to watch, and then to watch them help others. That's what it's all about.
To come full circle. It's super neat.
Yeah.
With Gunsight, are you that chapter there, do they coordinate classes with Gunsight, or do they just hold classes at their range?
No, so actually we're very blessed. The Gunsight instructors volunteer their time for our chapter. So they are there. The things that you're used to seeing at Gunsight are happening at our chapter meetings. So it's pretty incredible. So to watch that and to see those instructors, have that time volunteer, they're volunteering their time because they believe in what we're doing and believe in training these women. So it's pretty incredible.
You had told us a little bit about your story when we were at Gunsight, and I don't know if you want to share any of that here, but are you seeing a lot of women that have similar stories, or are they just kind of nervous because of what they see on the news?
No, actually, we see quite a few that have experienced some kind of trauma in their life, that has, I'm like their catalyst, of I've seen this. Sometimes it is what they've seen on the news, but also there's a lot that have experienced something personally, or someone very, very close to them has experienced something and that's made them say, I need to make a change here, so I have to do something to protect myself. That's actually a really big piece. And so I think sometimes we don't realize just how much it's happening. We see the big stories, the active violence events and things like that are big, but we're missing what's happened. Something can happen on the small scale to women on an individual level.
I'm not sure. Do you end up with your position with AWA? Are you traveling across the country a lot, or are you pretty centralized in Arizona?
So we travel, with the conferences and different things like that. And of course, our big events, SHOT Show, NRA, and things like that we will travel to. More and more, we're trying to get to regional events and state events and things like that. So there is some travel involved as well.
And that's what I'm seeing is I travel quite a bit. And in my travels, the climate is just different in a lot of places where I go. And with that, it's kind of like the gas station that I used to always know was like, this is the good stop. This is where my go-to. I know that's, whether I need fuel or not, I'm going to go there. And some of those have changed and they don't feel quite as safe as they used to. And I don't know if that is nationwide, because I kind of stick pretty much to the West, and which is a vast area, but it seems like, to me, maybe open borders are an issue, drugs are an issue. I know there's a lot of mental health stuff, but now more than ever, I see myself not wanting to leave home without my firearm or even carrying it at home. And do you hear a lot of stories like that when you're, teaching classes and visiting with all these ladies?
Absolutely. We do. And it's the worry, things are changing, just wanting to be able to carry and move through their journey a little bit faster as well, because, you have I think we see women that start in their journey, right? And at first they just want to learn to shoot. And then it's, okay, now we're going to move to that next step of maybe I'm going to start to carry at home or make sure that my gun's placed and it's just this whole place that they have to go through until they're confident and comfortable in actually carrying with a round in the chamber, all of those things. But they're wanting to get through that journey faster to get to that point, because there is that worry, a little bit more of that worry, so as things have changed.
Well, I think it's wonderful what you all are doing and just the whole evolution of women and firearms. And it's really cool to have somebody that's a nonprofit training women and helping them out. Do you guys do fundraisers for AWA, or are you supporting other causes as well?
We have done a few other causes in the past too. For instance, at our conference this year, we're doing what we're calling Operation Gratitude. And that's to give back to our troops. So what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a big team effort of building boxes that will go to the troops together. So that's a big piece. And I think it's going to be a pretty special event that we're going to do. So it'll be us and our sponsors and everybody involved in that, building those boxes together. And then we're going to donate too while we're there. So it'll be a big piece of the conference.
That's cool. It's neat to see you guys supporting something and doing some outreach, especially for troops, which are definitely an area that I think There's a lot of causes that support, but also it seems like they're often neglected. You don't hear about it as much as I used to years ago. So I think that's wonderful that you guys are doing that. Is it each chapter that's coordinating and they're collecting and they'll bring all their stuff to conference?
So actually we're going to bring all of this stuff. Some of our sponsors are going to donate branded items. So those will be in those as well. But on the awaconference.org, if you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, there's actually a place where people can donate to help make the supplies for those boxes. So so we're giving that open to the public so that they can donate. The members, if they want to donate their own box and everything, is all right there as well.
That's awesome. I will for sure include links in the show notes to Armed Women of America, but also to that site so that if people wanted to donate, I think that's wonderful that you have it open to the public and you guys can hopefully gain more support that way. Is there anything else that you think my audience should know about Armed Women of America or anything you want to share with them?
Good. I think that the other piece is just we're really dedicated to making sure that women that want to be involved and want to lead chapters can do that. So we're getting ready to launch our own RSO program that we're going to have the first ever at the conference this year, because we don't want a financial barrier stopping women from being able to participate and give back. So you'll start to see some of that. We're working on creative ways to do that. So we have so many ladies that maybe don't want to instruct, on their own time and things like that, but they want to be able to do it at our chapter. So we're working on creative ways to do that so that we can continue to grow and just change lives, so make sure these ladies are confident and we're all together, doing it all together.
And talking about growth and continuing to evolve, I had talked years ago it was before the pandemic stuff happened. I had talked to Carrie about hunting events. Have you guys evolved into that at all? Or is it pretty much just self-defense, firearm handling skills type stuff that you're doing?
We've done some hunting stuff. It's not something we've done on a large scale, but we do have some chapters that will. So that's actually my background is from originally, I come from a very large hunting family. So that's what we did. So I love to see that and work through that. But we support, ladies that are wanting to bring that into their chapters and things like that. So I know we've had some chapters that have brought in hunter education instructors and things like that to give a little bit of knowledge. We're always open for that kind of event because it all goes hand in hand, so of what we can do. And some ladies, we even see them evolve from, okay, at first I just want to be my own self-protector. And now, oh, wait a minute, now I can do this too, or vice versa. Some like myself, I came from the hunting world, but it changed with the scary situation that I had and adapted into now this. So it goes both ways and you see all of it. And I think if we can offer the education for the ladies, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking I probably should call the instructor or the leader here nearby and offer a hunter ed class to the ladies, because that might be something that some of them are interested in. So thanks for the idea.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Of course. I would love that. I think that would be great.
Yeah. And so each chapter, what I'm picturing is it depends on what resources they have as far as what they can offer or what their personal skills are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so in range, depending on the range they're at, their location and things. So and we let them guide that. So we also offer meeting topics for them, to begin with. So we've got several meeting topics that are already put together so that they can work through those to help them as they adjust, and things like that. But we leave it open because we realize that every chapter is different. Where they're at, like you said, is different. What their skill sets are, maybe the interests of the women in their community is a little bit different. So we leave that open so that there's flexibility there to be able to bring in what they can and educate these ladies that works best for them rather than making it a strict guideline as well.
It seems like that must be working really well since you guys continue to grow. I mean, the evolution is priceless. When you said you started out hunting and you're from a hunting family, what kind of hunting did you do?
Oh, goodness. So here in Arizona, Coues whitetail is big, so we Coues whitetail, javelina, elk, quail, turkey, So, but I've been pretty centralized here in Arizona. So I haven't branched out outside of Arizona yet. I hope to at some point, but it's just been really great. So I started out, my mom had the biggest elk in our family. And so that when I was young, I was like, "Ooh, I want to hunt with my mom," which then, grew and grew to turning into archery hunting and things like that. And now, they're hunting with our kids. So it's pretty special. So we
Yeah.
had at one time eight hunter education instructors in my family, so that we all did it together. So it's pretty special.
Yeah, a family that teaches together stays together, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's very cool. So with Arizona, Coues deer, I thought that's interesting that you say Coues deer because I say Coues deer, but I know some people they say it's Cows deer,
Mhm.
and there's always that little battle. But with the Coues deer, is that something that you have to draw and apply for, or can you get hunting licenses over the counter?
So in Arizona, it's all for rifle and everything. It's all a draw, but you can do some archery over the counter.
Mhm.
So, but just make sure you're checking the regulations because things have changed recently on what areas are open and different things like that with what can be done over the counter, and also having to call in to make sure that the amount of animals harvested has not reached its maximum as well. So,
That's interesting. So they do that like on a quota?
yeah. So in
Ah,
some areas, so you have to
cool.
make sure that you're watching all of that, depending on
That's
what
cool.
species and things like that.
Yeah. In Colorado, we have mountain lion are on a quota. So you have to call every morning before you go hunt, or now you can look it up on the internet since things are updated more quickly. But other than that, the deer and elk and stuff, you just get one hunting license and you have your license, you can hunt. So that's interesting that those are on a quota. I like that.
Yeah, it is. And it's important. So on the conservation side of everything, right? So if we aren't watching that, then that can change things, so to have that balance, because we all want to have hunting for the rest of our lives, right? And available for future generations. So whatever we can do, it's important to get involved and understand how all that works.
Right. And so where I've looked at areas for going to hunt Coues deer, I'm looking at areas that are pretty southern in the state is where I've seen. And I've also looked at hunting quail down there. But I mean, we started off the conversation talking about safety and, getting into some situations where you're afraid. Do you think it's safe to go hunt in the southern part of the state, or is it something where is it questionable nowadays?
Yeah, you really just want to make sure that you're with somebody that knows the areas. And to be honest, I don't know the extreme south area to know. I haven't hunted down there. I'm a little bit further north, in just north of Tucson, which we have a lot of Coues deer here. So we're one of the biggest units for them here. But there's a lot of people that successfully hunt in southern Arizona. But I would just recommend that you get with somebody that really knows, and knows the areas as well, because some are better than others, but there are some dangerous places. So that's why it's important.
Maybe hire a guide down there so that you're
Yeah.
not alone. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, with the immigration stuff, we've had friends that have been attacked by immigrants, and so it's an issue to personally, one that I don't like to hear about or like to deal with. We had planned a trip down there, and then when the borders opened up, it was kind of like, well, we'll hold off a while and
Sure.
we'll have to look for a guide. For sure. Do you still hunt nowadays, or are you pretty much consumed with work and training?
I try, but with Arizona being a draw system, it can be quite the challenge, to get to draw a tag sometimes. So, but this year, I didn't get an elk tag, but my husband got an archery elk tag and my daughter got a youth tag. So even though I won't be hunting, I will be there with them, which is just as special to me,
Yeah.
to be there. So to be able to call for him and for her to be able to hunt. So that's pretty special, but I keep hoping that I'll draw a tag so I can hunt too.
Absolutely. With the Armed Women of America, do you guys do any virtual training or online stuff?
We haven't recently. Of course, during 2020, we did, we had to bend and shift. So we went virtually with that, with our conference. Even that year, we went with a production company to make sure that continued on. So even though, that happened, So we do with our chapter leaders, we have what we call our Let's Talk sessions. So we will get together with them. We will invite people in to talk about a certain topic or a product or, different things like that, so that they can all get on and learn and continue to grow. So we haven't branched that out yet to membership, but that is a big piece for our leaders.
Well, I do appreciate you making the time to visit with me a little bit and share AWA with my listeners. Is there a place, I mean, we talked about the place to go for donations for the outreach. Is there anything else that people can do to support you guys as an organization, somewhere where they can help support?
Yeah, absolutely. So on our website, armedwomen.org, there is a donation option there to make donations to the organization. So as any companies, we have member benefits and things like that we offer to our leaders and our members, and that we work with companies for that on that side of things. But if there's something that you can offer to your local chapter, just you can reach out, or if you have ideas for the expo or anything like that, just so we can continue to really surround these ladies that are making a difference and help them grow. So that's a big piece as we move forward.
Excellent. And where all can we find Armed Women of America? I mean, the website I will link to. Can you tell us about social media and other outlets?
Sure. So we're Armed Women of America on both Facebook and Instagram. So you can find us there. We're always posting things. We've got, exciting things. You'll see all that's happening with the conference and things like that. And also, we share what's happening with the chapters. So you really can get a glimpse of what's happening within our chapters and what they're doing.
Very cool. Well, thank you. And I appreciate you being on the show. I hope that you guys have a great conference and obviously great classes in the chapters.
Thank you so much. It was great speaking with you.
Hey, this is Lloyd Bailey, the Armed Lutheran, host of the Armed Lutheran Radio podcast, reminding you that the podcast you're listening to is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all the great content at selfdefenseradio.net.